it's time to figure out those event listeners and get our canvas detecting clicks and key presses. And once we get that working, I don't know. I'm kind of tired of this. I'm kind of tired of recording. So I think I just want to get this working really quick and then be done for a while. At least that's what I think I'm going to do. So why wasn't this working? Oh yeah. So the global data dot event listeners registered. So that first of all doesn't exist. So if we go to like the initialize global data over here, and inside that function, right, we have our global data object. And do we seal it? Yeah, we make sure we seal it before we return it. But we don't have anything. We don't have sed flag. So this flag right here, we have no sed flag for that. And we'll just set this to 0. Event listener is registered. So you notice that this is not as terse as the code I usually write. And that's because when I write something in a non-terse style, that means it's not documented in my shortcuts. It's some type of variable that I don't think is going to show up in a high frequency, and so I didn't make it terse, right? The more frequent something is, the more terse you can make it, like a participle in the English language, like I, me, they, are, right? Like words that you often use in a sentence are going to be shorter. And the same thing with your code. If you oftenly use them, you can make them short, but this is basically only going to be used in 2 places as far as I know. So we should keep it as long as possible and make it as self-descriptive as possible. And that is why we're going to set it, keep it long like that. But what we do want to do is we've got to actually, set the value, right? So we check to see if it's less than or equal to 0, and if it is, we'll enter this block right here. So remembering the whole let keyword problem, and noticing that we are in a block scope, we're gonna use a let keyword here as well. And we'll say, var can actually that, whatever. We can do that. I don't really set the canvas, adding the event listeners, and a message if we have the key press or key release and the click. Sure, I think we're good. So let's take a look at that, see if that gives us what we're looking for. Okay, so console looks okay right now. If we click, okay, I'm seeing click feedback. And keyboard, however, no dice. Actually, that might be because of my shortcut script. So I'm going to suspend my hotkeys really quick. And keyboard, still no deal. So let's see. With this key press or key release function, we have a key up and key down, add event listener. So I remember now, it's because the keyword event listener has to be attached to the window because of I just think the canvas is not designed to accept keyboard events, and we can that sounds about right. So if I look in here, in the previous project we did, and we look for add event listener. Okay, and we see the click and then key down right here. Native keyboard event handler. I actually kind of like that. Native click event handler, native keyboard event handler. I actually really like these names. I think I might want to keep these names. So yeah, I'm going to keep these names. So I'm going to go back to well, I don't know now. You know what? I'm going to well, we could give it a little bit more indirection if we really wanted to. Yeah, so really what we could do is, since I'm kind of seeing that in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the, yeah, because the native click handler, yeah, these are good. This is good stuff here. Right, because then, right, and then we can pass these off to other things. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to take these as they are. I'm just going to shove them in here. And we can, I'm not sure of the exact order we want to, you know, shove these in at, but we're going to have to indent a little bit differently. So with this native keyboard event handler, native click handler, right? And then we need to like divide here. So dash line, I2, 64 columns. Oh, my suspend hotkeys. Okay, so let me try that again. Oh, you can't even see that, so it doesn't matter. Let me go back here. So I'm gonna, okay, so right here, this thing here, native keyboard event handler, native click handler, I'm just ripping that out of this project. And because I liked, first of all, I was like, oh, I like these names. And then I'm like, oh yeah, that's right, this takes native event and then it filters it and populates our global event object. And our global event object is like, it's an event object, but it doesn't have as much junk in it. Click and key down, yeah. So we're going to, so that, I think that's pretty valuable, so we'll keep that. And we'll change some other stuff around, so like global classes .read event, like we need, this object, first of all, doesn't exist in our code yet, and once we get it, we'll probably give it the same exact name if it has the, yeah, eventually we're going to have this. So we're going to write a little to-do, and I'm going to actually console.log this so I absolutely don't forget. To-do, right? And it might be a little bit cryptic what that to-do is, but once I find this console.log, and then I might as well dot. Once I find this console.log and figure out where it's coming from, this line, I'm going to know exactly what that's all about. Sure, we can log the global event. And like we probably won't do a direct read event. Like we're gonna use our native keyboard event handler to filter everything down, and then our poll events click right here will be instead of a native event, we can pass it the global event object. Now that's kind of weird, like, because in here, in these handlers, we're populating the global event object by going down into that global container. But then in this one here, rather than directly accessing the global event object, we're accessing it as a parameter. So you might think that's a little bit inconsistent. But the thing is there's the signature of these native handlers has to be very specific, right? Because they expect a certain type of function. So I can't, right? And then how am I going to get this data in, right? I have to use a global, right, to get this global event object in and out. Whereas for my personal handlers, I'm not constrained by that, so I don't have to do it that way. And I would like it to be more readable about, rather than having the inputs via side effect by grabbing into a global container. Basically, I don't want to reach into the global container directly unless it's the only way. So let's, so we know that we want the global event. And global could make a little note, like we could do that. We have enough space where we can write it out all the way like that, so that we can know that that is a global event object. And I don't know if I said this earlier, but we're not going to have anything called like global user input object or like global keyboard event. We're always going to use global event, and we're going to be purposely general like that. Because all a global event means is it's some type of broadcasted information. Now we could say, well, maybe that's not good enough. What if we need to like broadcast something else? And to that I say no, we don't, because broadcast. I don't want to use events in the first place. I don't want to use event-driven code. I'm just kind of forced to do that with the way JavaScript works. So I have no intentions of ever having any other type of event object in the future, so I'm just going to be as general as possible here. Maybe that'll come to bite me in the future, but that's what I've decided to stick to. So instead of calling this like a user input event or user event or input output event or something like that, I'm just going to call it global event. So this global event might be a keyboard event, this global event might be a mouse event, might be a mouse down, might be a mouse up, a mouse out, over, key up, key down. I don't care. We'll figure out the details, inside, right? We already know it's a click event because the handler that got executed. We already know this is a key press event because, the handler that got executed once again, right? So with, rearranging this, I gotta stop recording and record again.